I can.
Ah, perfect. I can hear you. How are you today, Cher?
I am doing well. How about yourself?
I'm a little tired today. I had a good friend last night get a flat tire near my area, and the estimated wait for because I'm the one who had AAA, so I let him use my AAA. The estimated wait was 150 minutes. It was at like
Awesome.
3 o'clock in the morning. So yeah, so but it didn't take that long, but we got it done, but still it was still a very late night. So
God, you are such a friend.
he needed it. He was drinking a little bit and probably should not have been driving a girl home who he met from the bar. So
Well,
but
good that
he
you came to rescue. Well, maybe that flat tire saved him. You know what I mean?
and I had a jack in my he didn't have a jack, so I had a jack, but it was a bottle jack and it didn't work for his car. So yeah, so we sat there and waited and heard the horror stories of the trip, and so it was interesting, but it was a late night. So but how about you? What you been up to today?
Oh, busy like always. Life, right?
Yeah, oh yeah, I get you.
Yeah, but I'm happy to be here now.
Me
So,
too.
yeah. Hey, Kirk, how you doing?
Awake and energized and ready to do lots of stuff. That's for sure.
Love it. Hey, Kirk.
That's so
Hey,
cool.
Morgan, good
Yeah,
to see you. Good to see you too,
yeah.
Sharon.
I'm so thankful, Alisher and Morgan, that you guys connected to the ITT. And yeah, that just super thankful for that.
Yeah, that was more so Alisher, because as soon as the last space that Josh had, I feel like you may have popped out at that moment, Cher. I'm not sure, but Josh was saying to us, that if we wanted to put it on his calendar, so and I was like, oh yeah, and I reached out immediately, and I didn't get anything back from him, but it was awesome that Alisher did. So
I already had access. I just wanted like the go ahead.
oh yeah, yeah, there you go.
Mm.
Well, thank you. Yes,
I
thank you
love
so much.
it, Alisher. Also, the how you did the the steps and so yeah, really cool. We're getting professional here.
Right?
That's really cool. I love it. So yeah, I want to welcome everybody. I see Nick down there and Ross and Manhandle. Welcome to the space. I haven't seen you before. I'm not sure if you want to hang out with us and build. Just so you know, you can come up and speak anytime. If you have any questions, feel free. You can also leave them down in the purple pill down there at the lower right. If you have any questions there, we'll try to get to them as fast as possible. And yeah, I would say we'll just give it a couple of minutes before we really get started. And Nick, it's so funny. You were in a space with me earlier today. That was funny.
It was hot in the car, and I was sitting in the car for 5 years, and the car is black, and the car is like zero heat, like a toaster oven. So I started sweating in under 3 seconds.
And the mic was on. I hope you guys enjoyed that.
That is funny. Where did you get that from?
That was my son.
Oh,
Gosh, that is so funny. Is he with you now?
Yeah, it's yeah, he's back. He's back. So we're
I'm so
we're
happy
we're
to hear
we're, we're
that.
gonna have so much fun this week. We were already putting together prompts for things that he wants to see. Some of those
oh,
things are
so cool.
hot air balloons going into space,
Oh
cats
man.
Oh,
doing funny
cool.
things, that kind of stuff.
Oh, fun stuff. That's cool.
Fun. Yeah, I love it. Yeah, my son is like, yeah, I don't know. Can I do my homework? Well, no, if it can, I don't want to mess with it. Okay. That's kind of where we stand at the moment. It's super funny, but he'll get there. He'll get there.
Kirk, is that the son that I don't know how many kids that you have, but is that the son that
Oh,
does
just the
music
one.
with you too? Okay, so
Yeah,
oh, awesome.
he did the
Very cool.
album with me, and yeah, I'm teaching him about graphics and multimedia and design. He's
So
going on
cool.
14. He's got a birthday coming up soon.
Nice.
That's this month, so he's excited about that. And
Very
yeah,
cool.
so we're working on all kinds of good stuff. It's exciting, the new technology, and then the amazing. I'm trying to teach him about AI Tutor and how you can literally have AI tools teach you, and some of these newer things that are coming out. It just kind of it's just going to be mind blowing. Like I've been it's been decades I've been waiting for this kind of technology to come available, and now it's here. And so I'm super excited to demonstrate this stuff and uh, and help him do this, the nonlinear education. So
Yeah.
you can ask a automated assistant a million times the same question, and it will never ever be irritated or get tired.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's a really cool part. And then also I'm gonna work on some more educational songs to put into the demo folder. So we're gonna have to work on some stuff with him on that.
Very cool. Well, I know we would definitely love to hear his reaction to when he sees all this cool stuff. So, so make sure you share with us the joy and excitement and all the wows and the oohs.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I'm so happy that AI never gets tired, never gets annoyed. I can ask the dumbest question and the AI will always give me an answer. Isn't that wonderful?
Right?
Yeah. Did you guys see that Lex Friedman interviewed Elon Musk? I know it has nothing to do with the topic, but it has something to do with all of us, our future.
I
Eight
did.
and a half hours.
Wow, I
That's
did
how
see that, but I
long.
didn't watch. You watched all of it?
No, not yet. I only watched the first 20 minutes and it's just crazy. I think we should all give it a listen because 8.5 hours, I do not even want to know what has been discussed. I think it's super important. I just want to put that out there. You don't have to watch it all at once, but I think there's some interesting stuff in that interview.
Oh, I bet. I bet. No, I did see it, but I didn't see it. Like I saw it pop up, but yeah, no,
Yeah.
I definitely will catch that probably bits and pieces at a time. I don't know if I could sit still for 8 hours.
It's crazy. I mean, this is the longest podcast that Lex Friedman has ever done. He had Elon Musk on the show probably a couple of times already, and that's just wild that they went on for 8.5 hours.
Right? It's got to be an interesting one. You know what I mean? To be able to go that long, it's got to be interesting.
Yes, I mean a lot is happening. I watched the SpaceX. They do lives every now and then, and they do the launch and the tests and everything. So they film that, and it's just wild. I mean, it doesn't matter what your opinion is on that, if we should be living on Mars or not, but just where we are, right? The times that we are in, AI and space exploration. Yesterday, Mario Nafal shared, I mean, aliens, okay. We never know if it's a fake video or so, but it's just super crazy because even the military, they have been speaking about that in the past. It's just crazy where we are now. And if you think about the goals of these big ones, like Elon Musk wanting to live in a multi-planetary system, it just blows my mind. It just totally blows my mind.
Absolutely.
It's just ridiculous when you think about it. Um, Not even AI can comprehend that. It's just super funny. It really is. Well, friends, I would say, so everyone that's in the listeners, anytime you guys can come up if you have any questions, you can follow along. Of course, this is supposed to be an open builder space where you guys all join and build with us. And if you have any questions, you can come up. You can leave a question in the purple pill at the bottom right, and we will get to that too as quick as possible. Alisher, I see that well, we could actually, I mean, people could log into Innovators Think Tank because I think that's where the live stream will be, right?
Yeah, I mean, they don't have to log in. It's a public page. They can just go to it and they'll see the live stream. They'll see all the links, and I do have like the audio going to live stream too, so you could just watch the live stream. Um, and let's see, yep, I have the link to the project here, the link to whatever we're gonna need today, and I think the first thing we're gonna do is probably go over how to get Flutter, set that up, and hopefully this time around it takes us a little bit faster, and then we'll jump straight into the project because we have a basic project set up already. I think from there it's just a matter of adding features.
Okay, that's cool. I will be taking notes along the way because I am going to try to set up a recap and a little tutorial for the people that want to, you know, maybe watch it. I mean, it's being recorded, so sorry about that.
You're okay.
So yeah, we will definitely be having a little recap because it's kind of hard, you know, having the space on and doing the live stream. So I'm sorry about that. I'm going to be leaving notes.
You're okay. I want to real quick. It's funny, Sharon. My friend Dr. F is down there in the crowd. He's somebody who makes me laugh. He keeps switching to Nino, but I keep seeing Nino, but then his other picture. But he is actually from Germany, so I thought I would mention that since you know the German connection there. So shout out to Dr. F. I love him.
Yes, yes, yes. I'm always happy to see German people, and I'm always happy to speak some German because I don't speak it a lot. My son is here at the moment, so I do speak with him, but his girlfriend is here, so I can't speak German either. You know, so it's mainly English, so that's pretty cool. So welcome, willkommen. Okay, Alisher. So the live stream, we have the link up at the top, Innovators Think Tank. So you guys can click on that. If you guys follow Alisher on Twitch, of course, you can watch it there, right? It's on Twitch too, correct? Did I understand that right?
It's on Twitch. It's the same exact live stream, and Twitch is just easy, better quality. You can see my screen a little bit better.
Okay,
X is not as good.
I know. I have a question, Alisher. You said that Visual Studio Code is recommended. You put something new in the list that I have not heard of or we have not used in the past. No, that's just for Apple, right? I
Yeah.
think.
So if you want to build for iOS and Mac and iPad, you'll need something called Xcode, and that's only for Mac.
Are we going to be going into that today?
I think once if we get to building, because I think I look back at it and we really don't need to get to either Android Studio or Xcode until we're ready to finalize our app and kind of get to the part where we publish it and test it.
Yeah, that's
But
why I'm
we
asking.
are
Yeah.
going to get into it for sure. And if not today, we're probably going to get into it either next week or the following week.
Okay, cool. So these are these are the things that we're going to be needing throughout our whole series of building that app with Flutter, correct?
Yeah. So throughout, these are going to be universal for whenever you want to build any Flutter app.
Okay, cool. How long do you think we are going to be working or playing around with Flutter? The next 3 weeks or how long?
Maybe a little bit longer because the publishing process will take a little bit of time as well. And I think
Okay.
some of us will probably want to publish our apps. But I think in terms of just building the app, we'll spend maybe another week or 2 weeks. And then publishing will probably also be like a 2-week process, 1 week for Android and 1 week for iOS. Because there is a lot of information you need to input when you're publishing, and there's a lot of things to consider. And then you are going to have to consider whether or not you have to get a developer account, because at the end of the day, if you want to actually publish on the store, either one of the stores, you do have to pay money. Yeah, Apple's $200 a year, and to publish for Android is $25 a year. And Android, you can actually spread your app without publishing, but there's ways of sharing the app for testing without having to publish as well. When we're building our iOS apps, we're going to go over test flight and how that testing process works. No, it's not free. You do have to pay for test flight. But there are other tools that you can build for that you can then share your app in. Like there's this one tool that we use called Diawi where you can literally just upload your app file and download the iPhone.
Okay. Well, cool. So that we have kind of a little bit of an overview. That's good to know. Okay. So first phase is building, and the next phase we'll learn everything about deploying it and really publishing it. That's cool. Well, wonderful.
Yeah. And there's going to be a lot of things to consider along the way that we're probably not going to get into. So things like actually charging money in your app, you're going to have to kind of do that research on your own because there's other implications involved in that, like where each one of the platforms wants their 30%. So you actually can publish an app that charges subscriptions outside of the app store. So there's other things to consider there. So that's why publishing takes a bit of time. Um, but in terms of building out, once we build it out, the app is going to look exactly the same on Android as it would on iOS. That's the beauties of Flutter. Is the app is just going to look the same on every platform, even on the web when we test it.
That's super cool, but it's just wonderful to know for people. This is just valuable information. Of course, if someone wants to really take that to the next step, they're going to have to be doing a lot of research on their own when it comes to pricing and all of those other things, right? But at least we can give a little bit guidance here, which I like. It's really cool. So that's a good idea. That will go into that topic then too, so that someone just has a full package and they can do it whichever way they want, right? So I really like that. Well, great. So we are going to need Visual Studio Code. So I just misunderstood that. So we are going to be using Visual Studio Code for sure, and Flutter. Those are the two main things that we need. And of course, you didn't put in the list an AI LLM. Do you want to talk on that for a moment?
Yeah, of course. So as we code, we are going to need some sort of an AI system that will help us create different components of the app. This is a requirement list just for the things you need on your computer. But of course, if you're not proficient in Flutter, I am in no way proficient in Flutter. I just know how to type the commands in.
Okay.
I will personally definitely need some sort of an AI system, and for me, I use AI Tutor, and I really just use Plus in this situation. I don't really need Beam or anything like that. I just want to ask some pure questions about code, and then have it create different components for me. And it really increases the speed at which you code because you don't have to type everything out line by line as well.
Cool.
And
Okay.
and yeah, I was using it earlier today, but for the stream, I decided to clear it out. And
Okay.
me, I use Claude 3.5 Sonnet. You could use GPT 4.0. You could also try the new Llama, but this one, Claude 3.5 Sonnet, has been working really well for me.
What is Roth saying?
All these new letters
We all want to
context
know.
are too small. Claude is great. Claude is 200K. Another great one, Gemini. Gemini is 2 million. But all these other ones like Llama, they have small context windows.
And
Even GPT is only 120K.
yeah. So the reason why we need big context windows is because of the lines of code that we're playing around with. And yeah, you can hit the limits quite quickly. So that's the reason. And yeah, Gemini has 1.5 million, I believe.
Yeah, I think it's like 2 million on the newest one.
Okay.
So let me see. And I think that
That's big news. You guys pushed the version to 1.16.6. So that's huge. That's pretty awesome. That happened in the last 24 hours, guys. So that's a big deal. So it's Plus has AI Tutor has been updated.
Yeah,
Right.
we're gonna be updating Pixio too in the next 24 hours or so.
Yeah, I would like, after we're done with Flutter, I mean, we're going to be playing around with it for a while, but I would also like to maybe, get a little bit deeper into AI Tutor because with the new features, with artifacts and so it's going to make our coding experience even easier. So that's definitely something that I want to touch on in the future, right? Because it's just making it easier for us, even easier than what we're doing now. So that's definitely going to be something that I want to talk about in the future.
Yeah, and I think another thing to consider is having big projects, right? So AI Tutor now also accepts your zip files, I think your entire folders. So with something like Gemini, something that has 2 million contacts, we can upload giant projects and analyze those projects.
I mean, that's fantastic, right? Analyzing projects, right? Allowing the AI to go through your code, checking things if you want to do changes, right? Adding something. That's just where you really need an LLM with big context windows because then they can really shift through a whole project in the best case, and it'll just make you more efficient, right? So those are definitely some things to consider, and that's where AI can really help. And I just find that AI Tutor is for me the best. It's just my go-to because like you said, we can upload really a lot of stuff. We can save a lot of stuff, right? And it's like a little suite. It's like a little AI suite because AI Tutor can do a couple of more things. So it's definitely something to look into. If you guys have any questions regarding AI Tutor, you can ask us. The team is always open to, book a call with you guys if you happen to purchase it and walk you through the app. So that's definitely something to keep in mind. Super support team, they can always help you with any problem. We are on Discord. And so it's just really great. I'm very happy that I'm part of this. So super thankful for you guys. So where do you want to start? Do you guys have any questions, Morgan or Kirk? Any questions regarding what we're about to do?
I don't think so. I think I'm up to speed.
Cool.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you so much.
This is fantastic. I love it.
So I think where we're going to
Sound good.
start. Oh, go ahead, Kirk. Before I move on to the next part.
No, no, I'm good. I'm just ready to rock here. Last we stopped, we had gotten some things set up in VS Visual Studio, and we were testing. I was not able to get my local system to do the testing. Are you running through that again? Or are we moving on from the point where you have the structure built?
Yeah, we'll go over from the start where I set up Flutter, and then we're gonna go into actually changing the model, changing the AI provider, and then setting that up as well, and trying to talk to it.
Okay, so we're going to start off with setting up Flutter. Perfect.
Yeah, we'll go through that pretty quickly because I think the easiest way is to just follow step by step and not go through any sort of complications that we encountered. Now that we've done it a few times, I think it's a little bit easier.
Okay.
So, if you guys are on the stream, I think the first thing you want to start with is the requirements, right? So we have the project. I actually went to all the projects and I edited all the projects. So if you guys ever want to go back to the old projects, there's actually a few, like the art generator that we did. This has all the directions for you to set them up. So if you ever want to go back to those, you're gonna find it pretty easy to get started with all of these. They all have descriptions now. So I'm gonna start with a project that we were doing in the last 2 weeks.
Open router, that's up right now. One is free, like free.
Yeah, they had a free one. That's what we're using.
No, like they just put out right now a new version. It's called
Oh.
Mama 3.1. 450 something installed.
Yeah, we'll take a look at that. So where you guys want to start here is if you haven't set up Flutter yet, the first thing you'll need is get. Because at the end of the day, I think there's some things in Flutter that use get that need to get dependencies. So you want to start with get. Here's get for Windows. You just install regular get if you have a Mac. But this is a specific one for Windows. And it's fairly quick. You just download it, you install it, and then it works in your computer. Now, next thing you want to do is go through these Flutter setup instructions. And it gives you a few ways to set up Flutter. So if you have Mac, of course, you can select Mac and set it up. I think you just download it and extract it. But for us, we're going to use Windows, and we're going to manually set it up. That's the easiest way, seemingly, to set it up. If you're using Visual Studio Code, I think there is like an extension you can download. That's what we did last time. But we can also manually set this up. So as we're reading through this, we need get. So by now, you should already have get. And then as you scroll down, here's the manual instructions. It gives you this file, which is the file for the Flutter SDK. Now download it. And then the only real direction is for you to extract this and make sure that this is a path variable, right? So our computer, just like majority of the apps, it has these variables. So it knows that Flutter, like the command Flutter, is somewhere inside of our computer, and it's able to call it. So that's the important one of the more important steps here. Otherwise, you won't be able to use command line tools for Flutter. So here I have my Flutter. Let me extract it. I'm just going to extract it right here in downloads. You guys can extract it wherever. At the end of the day, we're just going to end up going to path variables and adding it there anyway. Let's see if I don't have any extraction tools, so I'll just use the Microsoft version for extracting. Now, this has all the tools that we need for Flutter. So when we run commands, it's going to need some tools. This will take care of all that. This is the Flutter SDK. Now, while this is happening, on top of this, if you are developing for, let's say, Android, you will need Android Studio. So eventually you want to build for Android, you will need Android Studio. And when you install Android Studio, you need to install some tools there as well. But for now, if you're just testing and you just want to build, all you need is Flutter SDK. That will allow you to build and run your app in a browser for now. Let's see how that extraction is going. Now, if you're on a Mac, it's about the same. You're going to end up extracting and adding this to your environment variables, except if you want to also build for iOS, you'll need some Xcode. And you can have both Android Studio and Xcode if you're on a Mac. So I guess there's a bit of an advantage of having a Mac, which is you're able to build for both platforms.
I'm just kind of stuck, sorry, on the Git for Mac, because I was just looking that up, and it said, sorry, I'm working with two computers, bear with me. It says several ways to install Git on Mac OS. The easiest is probably to install the Xcode command line tools on Mavericks 10.9, and I'm like, I have no clue what Mavericks is, though.
Yeah, so check this out. You can go to the Flutter. You can go to the Flutter building docs. So
Okay.
when you go to the Flutter link, you go to Mac OS.
Okay.
We're going to do iOS.
Okay.
And then just says verify your shell configuration. So it wants you to run a few commands to make sure that you have it set up.
Okay.
And then development tools, you actually just need Xcode because Xcode comes with Get.
Okay. Gotcha.
So you can go to the App Store and just download Xcode.
I'm like, I know I have Flutter since I've got the two computers because we were doing this when I was in Florida. So this is when my computer screen, my good new one, wasn't broken. So So I'm now on my other computer. So it's like I'm glad that we're doing all these recaps because now I can redo it now on my other computer, my older one, not the broken one.
You're asking questions, right? So that's always good so that we can just, figure that out because someone
Yeah.
might be sitting in front of their computer and like, uh-oh, what do I do now? So that's good. I just want to remember everybody, we do have a stream going. You can click the link at the top and then you can basically see the walkthrough live, what Avisha is explaining. So just a side note there.
And yeah, Morgan, for Apple, they go through all the steps. You can just run, copy and paste these into your terminal and run them. And looks like you only really need Xcode for Flutter, and then you should be able to run whatever commands you need to run.
Oh, thanks.
And looks like it's about the same process for getting the actual Flutter SDK. So where it says download and install Flutter, it's going to be about the same process as what we do, except with
So,
like few different commands.
so if I'm on Windows, I cannot play around with iOS.
You cannot, no.
Okay, good. Just good to know. Okay.
That is one big limitation. Pretty much for anything you want to build for iOS, you won't be able to do,
Okay.
regardless of what framework.
Good to know.
Let's see, this extraction is almost done. Now, for us, all we're really gonna need to do is add this in our variables. Now, another thing we'll need is we'll of course need an API key once we get to it, and there we have a choice. Do we want to use OpenAI and GPT, or do we want to use OpenRouter and see what models they have, because they also have GPT and all the open source models and Claude as well. So OpenRouter is like a universal tool for your API for AI, and they have free options too.
Can you explain shortly? So API means that you can actually make a call, right? So that you can actually have whatever chatbot will be having in the app that we can actually speak to it, right? Is that correct?
Yeah, so API means it's gonna make like a call to those servers, OpenAI or OpenRouter, and then it's gonna interact with that LLM model. It also means that the app does require internet. So when we get to the point where we're publishing for Android, we're actually going to need to add some permissions to access internet from our device.
And can I ask you now, so what would be, just so that someone maybe can make a better decision if they go with OpenAI or if they go with OpenRouter. So OpenRouter, you have access to numerous LLMs that you can integrate into your app. Are there any other things than just LLMs on OpenRouter? Like, I don't know, diffusion models or so?
I don't think they have diffusion models. Yeah.
Okay, good. Um,
There's other things you could choose for diffusion, but they mostly have LLMs. But also, they have some models that they have vision as well. So, like GPT-4o, for example, they also have GPT-4o, but in addition to that, they'll have Claude, they'll have Gemini, and they'll have all the open source models like Llama, Mistral, Open Hermes, and whatever other models there are.
do you know any, this is just a question, I don't know if it makes sense for the group, but do you know that, is it cheaper than OpenAI or?
Well, for GPT, it's about the same.
Uh-huh.
To use GPT on OpenAI versus GPT on OpenRouter, it's about the same. And the same goes with Claude. The only big difference is you get access to all those other models.
Okay, okay.
So if, let's say, you don't want to launch your own server with Llama on it, which is what you will typically have to do, because there's no Llama API, well, you can use OpenRouter, and they actually do have a Llama API.
Okay, that's good to know.
Let's see. Okay, it looks like our folder extracted.
Is Open Router, are there other ones out there, or is that what most people use?
There are other ones out there, and like for example, Hugging Face has a serverless API call.
They do one thing that's interesting. You can call the model auto, and it will determine what model to use.
Oh, interesting.
Specific to Open Router.
Interesting. Russ is saying that on Open Router, you can call auto model, and they will determine what model to use for you. So that's interesting. So that's another option you have there.
Oh, cool.
But I don't think there's any API service that does all the models. You could do them all individually, and at the end of the day, API wise, it'll still be the same price because these API calls, Open Router versus other providers are all about the same price. It's just the convenience because it's all in one place.
Yeah, update. Running, refreshing it, and it hits Open Router. Great.
And they're very, very fast with their updates. So the new Llama model, they had it immediately the same day. And there's free models. GPT doesn't have a free API model. Well, OpenRouter has. They have tens of them that are quite different in variety. From Mistral to Llama to some of these Hermes models.
So that means you would be using an LLM completely for free?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely free. For example, if you go to AI Tutor,
You don't have to pay Open Router either?
No. Some of these
Wow.
models, if you go to AI Tutor, for example, some of these models in OpenRouter are free. They have a little GIF next to them.
And you can use your app and say only call the free models.
That's true. Well, you can specify what model you're calling. There's like a free extension that you can add.
That's crazy. So basically the only cost would be, now let's say someone would really want to build something, it would all it would be in the worst case, the $200 for Apple and the $25 for Android per year.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I mean, it is, isn't it? I mean, think about it. Back in the day, if you were building an app, you would be paying thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. I just want to, I remember asking my brother, I don't know, 10 years ago, let's build an app. And he's like, you got $40,000? I'm like, what? No. Well, then forget it. That's what he told me. You can forget it. If you don't have 40K, we don't even have to start. And also paying the developer to help you build the app. You have to think about that too. Back in the day, you would have to pay somebody big money to build something out for you. And we're doing this now, today, by ourselves, because we have AI.
All we need is GitHub and AI.
Literally, I'm debating on it, maybe a free tier on the SEO with the free Open Router.
We should.
Excellent. That's really good.
Huh.
What did you say? What did you say?
We might make a free tier in AI Tutor with just the free models.
Oh, wow.
That's cool.
It's
I
free.
think that'll be good for you guys, just because it'll bring more people to your platform just to even try it out, and then they'll see even more what they can do with it.
Not just that, I mean, they also have the privacy then at that moment, or how is that? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Does that make sense, Alisher?
I'm sorry, I totally missed it. I was talking to Ross.
All good. So if someone were to, if you guys were to offer people to access your platform for free and use models for free, don't they have more privacy at that moment? Or is the call?
Well, it's still private because we opt out of data collection on all of our APIs.
Super. Okay, cool.
Yeah. And since in something like Plus, we don't really save anything in the database, it's saved locally. So it would just keep saving data locally on your computer rather than having to send data somewhere to some server to store it.
That's cool. That's just always good to know because some people are like, because I mean, think about it. There are people that do, they do business stuff, right? And they might not want to put sensitive data, and that's just sometimes a problem with, with OpenAI, for example. I mean, they say kind of you can opt out, but I don't know how far. But if it's
But
really, if you know that it's stored locally, then right? Then you're good.
OpenAI you can only opt out if you're like an enterprise user.
Yeah, we didn't have that.
Oh, see?
Yeah, they want more money for you to opt out.
Open router gives you a discount if you opt in.
Russ saying OpenRouter gives you a discount if you opt in, but I guess if you're using free models, doesn't really matter.
It's for their own thing.
Yeah.
For the auto thing.
Hmm.
So they have to learn how to auto route. You need data.
Okay, guys. So now that you have your Flutter extracted, you want to add it as a variable so your computer knows that when you ask Flutter in commands what to do. So the easiest way to do it on Windows is to search environment variable. So I just looked up environment, and it's the first thing that pops up. Now, if you're on Mac, there's a command you can run that adds it to your variables after you download it. So for me, I'm going to do edit environment variables. And also, once we get to actually publishing for Mac, I am gonna set up the project on the Mac, so you guys will get to see that as well. Because I'll have to, right, if I want to build for Mac. Okay, now in the system properties, I want environment variables, and we're looking for this path variable, which sets up the paths to all the different, unique commands. So I'm gonna edit. I already have a Flutter command here. I'm just gonna edit that command. I actually have two. Well, might as well maybe have three. Let's see. I'm gonna edit this one. And if you don't have any, you can just add new and browse. So I'm gonna edit and browse. And you want to go to your Flutter folder, wherever you extracted Flutter, and what you're gonna look for. So here I have Flutter. You want to have that bin folder inside. So Flutter and bin. And bin has executables and commands for us. Now this should be all set up. You can click OK, OK, and OK. And now you should be able to run Flutter commands, which our Visual Studio Code is going to need in order for us to really do anything with Flutter. All right, so that's how you link it. Now, we don't really need Android Studio or Xcode until we're ready to build out or we're ready to test for those devices. Since now we can just test on the web, we'll stick with just the web for now. We'll skip those. We'll go over those once we're publishing for them, because each one of them is kind of like its own process. Okay, so now the easiest thing to do is to grab this project. This project is on the agenda. It's this link to the project, and you guys can fork it. You guys can just download it as a zip, and I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to download this as a zip.
Okay, cool. I just want to stop you there for a moment. So you guys need to go on GitHub to get that project. So you can sign up for GitHub for free. It doesn't cost you a dime. And it's basically just, it's the place where all developers, they don't put everything there, but there's a lot of stuff that you can find there. And there are a lot of projects that are openly available. First of all, you can look around and get creative and get inspired if you want to, whatever project you want to build. So it does make a lot of sense to go on to sign up for GitHub, especially if you want this project. But it's a good place to get ideas for your own project, even if it's not, this is just an example what we're building, right? It's an example. You'll learn how to play around with them. And you'll be able to change this too, right? You can use this to change. But if you're not so sure what you want to do, maybe GitHub is a good place to look around and see what other people are building. Does that make sense, Alisher?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And also, you don't really need an account, but it's good to have an account because you can start things, you can go back to them, and things also update on GitHub constantly. So you can even sync those updates to your own project. So if you fork this project and I update it in a few hours when we're done, then you can grab those changes as well. And I think for you don't really need to sign up to grab this project. You can actually just download the zip, and there's a bit of a difference. If you fork it, your project will be public. If you download the zip, your project will be private. So that's the two main differences.
I didn't even know that. So it's accessible without you signing up. Okay, cool. Did you give us the link? Because I would like to update it, of course, too, in my Visual Studio Code. I can just go to your GitHub.
I was
Actually.
going to say I can post that if you need me to real quick. I'm on it. I'm on his GitHub account right now.
Yeah, you can go ahead and post it in the comments and then have it.
Bear with me one second.
ITT, I'm so sorry. It's on the ITT. What am I talking about? You don't
it's-
have, yeah, but
GitHub one?
yeah,
Okay, oh, perfect.
I got it. Yeah, okay. I forgot. I forgot that we have the nice agenda. Sorry about that. But it's good to just have it in the comments if someone wants to grab it.
I'll still do it. I got you, sure.
Thanks.
Yeah, you just want to extract that zip once you're if you are downloading the zip. You also have an option for GitHub Desktop, so you can
Yeah,
click
I'm
open
downloading
GitHub
it.
Desktop if you want that.
Yeah, I'm gonna do what you're doing.
And now for us, I have a few commands here for you guys to manage this project, and that's what I'm going to start with. I'm going to go to my folder, and this folder I'm going to open in Visual Studio Code. Now there's a few ways you could open in Visual Studio Code. You can drag it in, or I have this open with code option. I'm just going to open my Visual Studio Code window, and let me make this bigger. There you go. Cool. So now this window should have all of my project. You'll get some errors because you might not have anything installed yet. But typically with Flutter projects, what you want to do is, let me see, I'm just double checking to make sure I got the notifications to connect my phone. Okay, so when you start with the Flutter project, there's a few commands you want to run first because there's leftover code from like the previous builds and whatnot. So you always want to clean your project first to get rid of any old code from like the old compiled version from a different computer. And then you also want to get dependencies again. Because just like Next.js, just like React that we looked at, this also has a list of dependencies. They have like a whole library of dependencies that you can go and use. Or you could also just make regular API calls which is what we're gonna use. Okay, so I have a few commands here all the way on the bottom of the GitHub, and the commands are flutter clean, flutter pub get. So it's going to clean the project, and it's going to get some dependencies for us. And then what we're going to do is we're going to do flutter run, which should run it for us on the web, just to test it out. So let's try that out. I'm in Visual Studio Code. I'm going to go to Terminal, New Terminal, and you can now start running Flutter commands if you add a Flutter to your environment variables. And the first command you typically want to run when you just set up Flutter is Flutter Doctor. It's a little utility that will help you determine what you need. Right, so I run Flutter Doctor. It tells me I have Flutter. It tells me my Windows, okay, is all compatible. It doesn't have Android tools. That's okay. We're not publishing on Android yet. It doesn't have Visual Studio, which is necessary to develop Windows apps. We're not creating a Windows app, so we don't really need to care about that. And it even tells me that I have a connected phone that I did not authorize to launch apps to yet. So it's a good little utility that tells you everything you need to know And the main things you really care is, do you have Flutter? Is your Windows version compatible? Do you have some sort of a web browser like Chrome? Because we're going to check it out on the web. Do you have VS Code? And that's about it. Those are really the only things you care about right now. And so now the next command, after we checked whether our Flutter is set up or not, the next command is clean. We want to get rid of whatever's left over here from when somebody else was developing it. So Flutter clean. Because Flutter generates different files for different frameworks like iOS, Android, and what is happening? There's some leftover code that references the different computer, the computer this code was developed on. So we can do Flutter clean. That should clean everything out for us. For me, I had nothing here, looks like. This project was clean when I uploaded it. And now I can do Flutter pub get, which is going to get our dependencies.
Oh yeah, can I ask you something? Because I got an error, I don't know why. No pub spec YAML file found. What does that
So
mean?
what I suggest is you make sure that the folder you open is the folder that has all of these folders and not the folder that contains another folder. You know,
Okay, yeah, okay.
you see how here I have mindful main. It's a folder inside a folder.
Oh yeah, that's where I messed up. Yeah. How can I delete this? Just a dumb question. How can I delete this on Visual Studio Code?
Delete. You can just close it and reopen the folder that's inside of it.
Okay.
Because all Visual Studio Code does is it's like a way for you to view the files, right? So what you can do is you can just take the folder that actually contains everything and move it somewhere else. But typically, when you download from GitHub, just watch out for this. It's typically a folder inside a folder.
Yeah, I see that messed up. Okay.
All the GitHubs.
I gotcha. Perfect.
And right, then I do Flutter pub get. It gets all the dependencies for me. And this project, it's not fully set up. It's just set up for you to actually open it. There are a few more things we need to do before running it and making it work. So the first thing we want to do is we're going to need to set up our env, right? So our env has our key, our OpenAI key or our Open Router key. I think this one has Open Router, so we'll stick with Open Router for now. And I guess if you guys want to follow along, I suggest for now you also stick with Open Router, and then beyond this, after the space is done, you can branch out into whatever you want. So let me see. I'm gonna go find my Open Router key.
I'm going to create now too, and I just recommend, since it doesn't cost anything, everybody can do it basically.
It's free. Yeah. So we're gonna refer to a model that's free. So for us, it's doesn't cost anything. Oh yeah, we're gonna use the Llama 3.1, the free one. Oh, check this out, guys. They have other things here too. They have the new Llama 3.1 Sonar Online. What? That's fresh off the press. That's not free.
So you have to look for the model first, and then you go on API key. I understand.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you can put in any API key. Like you can put in your Open Router API key and then look for the model, because the model is not set in the same place. Right now, it is set to a free model already, so it's not going to charge you anything. I think last time when we left off, we were using Llama 3.1, the free one. And you can find your keys in Open Router. I think it's openrouter.ai/settings/keys. And I'm just going to get a new key. Looks like this is a brand new account, actually.
Can I ask you something? When I enter that, it just says Llama 3.1 base. How do I know if it's the free one?
Okay, I'll show you right now. Let me just get the key first, and then we'll look at all the models.
Do they give me right now?
No, they don't, but they let you test a few calls for free.
Okay.
To the So if you guys want to test with the paid model, they let you do like a few calls for free. But it's user free models, it's unlimited. I just want my key. Right. So before we look at the models, let's find this env file. And this is what I love about Visual Studio Code is I can search for it, right? Since you guys, majority of the time, you'll go to GitHub, you'll find a project, and you're not really gonna know where the files are. Well, I'm looking for an env, so I'm gonna go to this top search, which is search for files, and I'm gonna look for env. And there it is, it's inside of assets. And here I have my OpenAI key / OpenRouter key, but right now it's set up for OpenRouter. So if you put OpenAI in here, it will not work. Now, I have the key set up. So let's look at the models now. Let's see what is going on with these models. I'm gonna go to browse on OpenRouter, and if you're looking for free, you can just type free in the search, and these are all the free ones. They have a little gift icon next to them. So there's actually quite a few. I think they expanded the list. It's OpenChat, Gemma, Zephyr, Phi, Llama, Mistral. So here's the free Llama, Llama 3.1 8B. This is the one we're using, and I know that this is the one we're using because we set it up last time. I'm going to show you guys where we set it up. We set it up right here in the lib folder in chat. So if we go here, this is where you can scroll down, and in, let's see, in line 92 in screen.dart is where we have the model. And it says free at the end. So if you want to change this model, you can just go to OpenRouter, find another free model or paid model. Let's say I want to use this Mistral. And I just can copy the name of the model that's here. It's Mistral AI / Mistral 7B instruct free. Then all I have to do is just change the model here in line 92 of chat _ screen. If you can't find this file, remember, use that search utility at the top. Look for chat. And it's going to be the first thing that pops up, chat screen.dart. If you want to use a non-free model, let's say you want a vision model, and you want to stick with OpenRouter. Vision models aren't free. So there's, let's see, which vision model is free? Oh, okay, but they don't have that. Let's see. Okay, well, a vision model that I know of is GPT-4o, right? It can do anything. GPT-4o, and there it is, GPT-4o Mini, very cheap. You can use that. You can use the regular GPT-4o, a little more expensive, but still a great model.
Did we test it? Did we even test it the last time? I can't even remember.
We didn't really test it. I guess we looked at it. That's the first thing we used, right? Is we used 4o Mini, and then we switched to OpenRouter. But OpenRouter also has it. So you don't even have to go to OpenAI. You could just go to OpenRouter if you don't want to give OpenAI money. Then another one is Gemini. So they have Gemini as well. Let's see, Gemini. And there you have Gemini Pro Vision 1.1 or Gemini 1.5, which also does images, just like Gemini Flash. You can do, what else does images? Does Claude do images? I don't think so. Claude 3, right.
Not 3.5.
So you can try to use Claude 3, which also does images. If you want an internet connected model, this is where they have Perplexity.
We're not doing it.
Yep. So let's check that out. Perplexity. There you go. Brand new online model from Perplexity. Now, of course, this one is not free because at the end of the day, they are just like a wrapper for Perplexity API. But if you need like a range of models, you're not really gonna find anything with as many APIs. Like these, they have 200 models, 199 models available.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, and all you have to do is just change the model name. So this is already set up to work with OpenRouter. All that's left is just model name, and for me, I just set it to the Mistral for one. For now, it's the free one. You can set it to Llama. That's the free one if you want to play around and test. If you want to add some payment details in there and use this for real, and you need like the online model, you can do that as well. One thing you will not get here is, of course, the models that you train on your own time, right? So OpenAI allows you to train models. OpenRouter does not. They're just like a provider for the API. So if you want to train a model with OpenAI, then you're gonna have to stick with using OpenAI. If you want to train a model for Llama, you're gonna need to figure out how to, boot up a Llama 3 API server probably,
Yeah, and
or go
Hugging Face,
Hugging Face and
Yeah,
host
but
a model.
Hugging Face allows you to train models too, right?
No, they do not. Oh,
They do.
Hugging Face, yeah. Hugging Face allows you to train models, but at the end of the day, it's all compute, right? So you could train a model, but at the end of the day, when you host it on Hugging Face, it all going to cost about the same whether you host it on Hugging Face or you host it on AWS or GCP. It's all
Okay.
just about compute when it comes to these models.
Yeah, just if someone wants to use an alternative to OpenAI, Hugging Face would definitely be an alternative for that, correct?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
definitely. And the process is about the same, right? So OpenAI, you kind of have about the same process. You use compute on OpenAI. That's what you pay for when you train, and then that's what you pay for when you call the model. And then Hugging Face, you'll just pay to like boot up a machine and train, and then you'll pay to boot up a machine and have your model there as an API. Except like I guess on Hugging Face, you would need to keep paying them even when people aren't using your machine, right? Because typically that's how it works when you boot up a server. Is the server is online all the time. It's not just online when the person decides to use it. So that's the benefit of going with OpenRouter and OpenAI, something that's like just an API provider, is that you don't get that overhead of having the server on 24/7, right? You just pay per API call instead of paying per seconds of compute.
Okay. Good to know.
If you're just starting out, I would say your best bet is something like OpenRouter or OpenAI. I mean, they are, in terms of cost, kind of scales. You get more customers, it costs more. Um, if you want to host your own model, you kind of end up paying a lot up front. And then if you have more customers, you have to figure out how to actually scale it and be able to handle more customers. OpenAI, you can hit them with 1,000 customers, a million calls in a second, and they'll be just fine. They'll just give you a bill to pay for those API calls.
I'm laughing. Send that bill.
Honestly, if you figure out the math and the margins work for you, you should, especially with the new 4.0 mini model, and it's cheap to train. And if you spend a certain amount of money with them, it's free to train, and then it's cheap to actually call it. It's extremely cheap, 60 times cheaper than GPT-4.
The mini O, right?
Yep.
Gotcha.
And you get vision, audio. You get their Omni model that takes in whatever format. Oh yeah, no. Oh, it doesn't understand it. Okay, just audio and images. Oh, interesting. If you want to analyze video, you need Gemini. probably one of these 2 million context models. But anyway, that's your choice. And what's cool about OpenAI, OpenRouter, is all of these LLMs. If you're just like using this to make an API call, they all kind of have the same structure, right? They have the completions URL, they have the key, and then they have the model. So in theory, you could even go to LM Studio, launch a local LLM, and all you would have to do is just change this URL from OpenRouter to the local host URL, and that would work as well somehow, right? Just bringing it back to week one, bringing it back to day one when we did LM Studio.
I was
So if
about
you
to
wanted
say,
to,
yeah. That's
you
so
want
cool that we know that. I'm sorry that I'm interrupting you, but it's always the same process then at that moment. So you adding a model to it's the same process all the time. So that's good to know.
yeah, it's the same process, same structure. That's because that's one great thing that OpenAI did is they kind of standardized this completions endpoint is what they call. Whoa, some lightning going on outside. But
Ooh.
yeah, they standardized this v/v1/chat/completions endpoint to the point where like everything uses it. Olama, which is what a lot of companies use to have a local LLM model, uses the same exact completion. Anthropic, if you were to integrate Claude, same exact format and same exact completion endpoint. All you have to really do is just change this URL to Claude or Anthropic or whatever it is. Okay, I think now we can launch this, right? I have the free model in here.
Oh,
Now
we
all I
forgot
really have to
something. You know what we forgot? You said, I for my key, it still says open AI API key. Do I have to change that?
no, you don't. That's just arbitrary.
Okay.
All that is the name for the variable.
Okay.
It's what the name of the variable inside of your code is, right? It could be anything. It could
Yeah.
just say API key. It just has to match.
Okay.
All right, so now Flutter run. Let's see what we get. Flutter. Let me actually disconnect my phone so it doesn't get confused. Flutter run. And we should get, there you go. Okay, I have a choice now. Where do I want to run this? I'm going to put this in Edge. Come on, Edge. And there you go. I had it open inside of my Edge. And here it is. Here it is running in the browser. So you don't really need Android Studio or Xcode up until you're at that point where you're like, okay, I want to publish for Android. I have to test. I have to prepare everything for Android. And then same thing for Apple. And here you go. I can click Get Started. Here's my, one thing I did notice is it actually changed the color because I updated my Flutter. But it's cool. Here's the chat, and let's check it out. So I'm feeling good.
Dr. Rachel Kim, who's that?
I don't know. I just generated a persona in Plus last time, and it gave me a nice big prompt. And there it is. Nice quick response. And now if you wanted to test a different model, well, if I wanted to go back to that llama model, I can undo, save, and then I have to relaunch it. So what I'm going to have to do is stop it. So I'm going to go to my terminal. I'm going to click Control C. I'm going to say, yes, I want to terminate this job. And then I'm going to rebuild this. So do Flutter run again. And it'll reopen for you. Once again, I'm going to do Edge. And then it should be using a different model. In this case, it should be using Llama 3. 3.1, the new one. Okay, get started. Then just gonna do hi.
Did Morgan get knocked down? Let me see. Let me get her back up. I just got booted out of my own space. I had to get back in. That's cool that you can reconnect, that the space doesn't crash if the host leaves.
Sorry, guys. I was listening to the space from my cracked screen one and building on my good one, and when my cracked screen one goes black for a second, I lose everything and I got to restart it. So I apologize.
That's so funny. You're back. You're back on air. Well, I just got rebooted myself.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah. But it's always cool. You can reconnect. My app just crashes,
Yeah.
and then I can get back in. That's cool.
Yeah. No, thank God. So. Just want to welcome everybody new to the room. See Chivo Manhandle's back. We've got well, I don't say Twitch stream anymore, right? We have the stream up at the top in the nest if you want to follow along and see what we're building.
So, Alisher, so you created a persona, and how did you do that? I mean, because we're speaking to the LLM that we got on OpenRouter.
Right. Yes.
How did you do
So
that?
great question. Great question. So now that we have our app set up, now we kind of have to do a little bit of work to actually fine tune this app to have a personality that we want, right? So the way this works is typically all of these API LLM endpoints, they have a system prompt. And you can inject a system prompt, and then it will act as that personality. Now, you can spend a few hours fine tuning this prompt, maybe even a few days. But what I did is I used AI Tutor. So inside of AI Tutor, whether you have Plus or Ultra, you have a persona builder. So here on the side menu, I can find personas. Then I can create a persona from video, or I can create a persona from text. And so this is where I was like, okay, you're a therapist, a world-renowned therapist. Let's make one. Why not? So we're gonna instruct it what it's gonna be. So you're a world-renowned.
Just real quick, Alistair, while you're doing that, I want to welcome Rosemary to the room. Looking good, girl. Good to see you. We got a Twitch. There we go again with the Twitch. We have a live stream up at the top in the nest. If you want to follow along, we're building some apps with AI and Flutter.
Yeah. So what we basically did up to now, Pablo, please be quiet. Let me speak, dog. Let me speak. So we're building an app, and what we did is, we have kind of an environment, and then we grabbed an LLM that we then added to it. So we have a little chat bot integrated into our app. And what we're doing now is creating a system prompt so that it'll, just react the way we want it to react, the way it should respond to whoever is prompting it. That's what we're doing now. This was a super easy process, Alicia. That's really cool. And the LLM that we're using, so basically this is all for free up to now, which is cool. And I mean, this link, you could share this with anyone, right? You can play around and make some cool little personas, some little chat bots, and share them with your friends.
That's always my favorite part, is making these personas. They're just so
Right?
fun.
It
It
is.
is. It's the best.
I'm still waiting for mine to be I don't even know what's up. It's still running. Installing, build app outputs Flutter, and it's hanging there. It's doing something.
So what you can do is you can sometimes stopping it, go into your terminal and clicking Control C, and then clicking yes, stopping it helps, and then starting it again.
Okay.
It does hang sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, that's
And say make sure you don't have your phone plugged in, and you don't have emulator running or anything like that. We just use the web instead, so it's nice and fast.
mm-hmm.
Uh, emulator is more of like the last step before we publish. Um, in the meantime, while it's doing its thing, you can create a persona.
Cool. And then I
Oh, go
do I
ahead, Cher. Sorry.
do, oh, I'm so sorry. Do I do Flutter Run then?
Yeah, yeah.
Cool.
I just wanted to say hi to And One, my friend And One from the SNEC community. Welcome. Thanks for hanging out with us. We do have a live stream up at the top if you want to watch and see what we're building with AI. We're doing a persona right now with AI Tutor, which is my favorite part, making these crazy personas. And I think we're sticking with the therapist, right, Alisher?
Yeah, I think for now we'll stick with the therapist theme, and we'll kind of keep going with this theme. We'll try to implement something like 11 labs to generate a vocal response, and then we'll also probably try to do something like where you can give it a voice recording as well.
Oh, wow. So basically, this is really a super easy process. Didn't cost us a dime up till now. And just for testing and playing around with it, this is a good thing to do, getting a feeling for it. Of course, if you want to take this a little bit more seriously, yeah, I would just recommend that you come to the next spaces too, because we're going to build this out as we go. Today was kind of just a recap to get a feeling for what we did the last time and just recap and make sure that everybody's on board. And then we'll be diving deeper as we go. Hey, Rosemary, how you doing? Oh, she got bumped back down. Let me see if I can invite her to speak.
Oh, I still see her as speaker. I just went to go accept her, and she popped up
Okay,
there, but I
okay,
see her as
cool.
speaker. Not sure that.
Okay, can y'all hear me?
Oh, there you go. Hey, Rosemary.
Hey, I got it playing in the background, so I had to turn it on mute on the computer. Good to see you guys. Thank you for hosting this room. Happy to be here.
Yeah, we're happy to have you, Rosemary. So basically, yeah, yeah, of course. I'm sorry. Go ahead, just put, yeah, not with the plastic though, because that doesn't work. I'm sorry.
You're okay.
Children. Yeah, so we built out a little app that you can use on any screen. So we're working with Flutter because you can use it on any screen. So that means either browser or your iPhone or Android. So, or iPad, that works also. Yeah, that's what we did the past 2 weeks, I guess. And now we're doing a recap so that anybody that didn't, wasn't part of the last 2 weeks can definitely start from here. We do have the project on GitHub, so if you wanted to join us and do this with us, it's quite easy to get you set up, just so you know. But you can just hang out with us if you want to.
Oh yeah, I'm clicking on everything now to see what's going on.
Yeah, I know that you do a little bit of coding yourself, Rosemary. Do you have any experience with Visual Studio Code?
Very minimal. It's on my computer.
Okay, well
I'm
that's good.
yeah, I'm
That's
fairly
that's good.
new. Yeah.
Well, you don't need anything. I just wanted to know. So the thing is that there's the project. I think it's up in the nest. Did you put it up there, Morgan? We also have,
Yes.
yeah, that's cool. So what you can do, you can just click on that link and have a look at it. It is explained, but we can walk you through it. That's not a problem. Not a problem at all. So you can have a look and just let us know when you're ready and if you want to, if you want to get set up. Now, Alisher, I have a question because we're basically you're making a persona now on AI Tutor. Now, I have a question. My it's somehow not working. I have something in red here. It's telling me that you are applying Flutter's app plugin loader Gradle plugin imperatively using the apply script method. What the heck is that? What am I doing wrong?
So I think it's probably trying to build for like an Android device, and
Um,
yeah, um, your phone isn't plugged in, right?
nope, nothing's plugged in.
Okay. Um, you could close and reopen your Visual Studio Code
Okay.
and try again. You could try to do Flutter clean and then Flutter pub get and then Flutter run.
Okay. Okay.
Oh, actually, I like this prompt that it generated before a little bit better. Let's see.
So now you took the persona, right? And now we put it in Visual Studio Code.
Yeah, that's what we're gonna end up doing. But I like this prompt, but I also wanna maybe give it some of this. Like Claude. Claude is probably not the best one to do this. 4.0 is?
Yeah. Or Turbo.
We'll do 4.0. Let's see how this does. 4.0.
It's good.
I think that's how it generated before.
I use it consistently.
It's okay.
And what was the other one though, Alistair? That was under Claude. Is that
Llama 3.5 Sonnet.
gotcha?
But that one, it doesn't give you the best prompts. 4.0 tends to give you like very fledged out, thought out prompts.
I would say just for this stuff. Everywhere else things are good.
Yeah, there you go.
Like no one does it like that.
Way better.
Really good.
Way better.
I see
Okay.
what you're saying. Very cool. Yeah.
Now there's going to be the personality that I'll use. And now what's cool is when it comes to like mega prompting, you can, since we're using, I think Llama, which on Open Router has very large context, it has like 100K context. I think what you can do is have like a prompt that's 4 pages long, and then the prompt is so accurate you don't even need to fine tune the model. What ends up happening is that it'll just use the predictive algorithms and eventually arrive at the same conclusion as the model you would fine tune. So having like a system prompt that's very large, very descriptive, will definitely be in your favor, and will also help you stand out.
I just want to say hi to Ahmed and thanks for coming in and joining us. We're building an app, a therapist app with AI and Flutter. We do have a stream up at the top in the Jumbotron. If you want to watch what we're building, feel free to come up and ask any questions. Come hang out with us. Yeah, so welcome.
Yeah, thanks so much, Morgan. Alisha, I have a question. Can you just go on your API key again? I just want to see, is there just go on your API key. I just want to have a look if I did it right.
On my API key in Open Router or here in Visual Studio Code?
Oh, sorry, in Visual Studio Code.
Okay, so it's in the env file.
Exactly, go there. Yeah, I did it right. I don't know. I mean, it doesn't, well, it's just still going and going and going forever. I don't know what's going on. It's telling me installing build app outputs Flutter APK app debug APK.
Yeah, that's because for some reason it's trying to install and run it on like an Android device.
Well, you know what?
I can
Shall I
hop on a call with you after and
Shall I
what's up?
Shall I just uninstall Android Studio?
No, it's not necessary. I can I mean you can uninstall it, right? Because you're gonna probably by the time we get to building for Android, I'll have a new version anyway.
Yeah.
But leave it for now. Leave it for now because what I think we should do is once we're done, I'll hop on like a quick 10-minute call and we'll fix it. It's probably you might have just something running in the background that's causing that, which is okay. What you can do is let's check this out.
Task
So
Manager. Shall I go to Task Manager and look?
specify where we want to run it, right? So I'm going to stop my application and I'm gonna go to AI Tutor, and I'm gonna ask it a question, right? So here in Plus, let's see. So I'm gonna ask it a question. I'm gonna say I have a Flutter project, and I want to run it for the web. Say yes, I have everything installed properly. I just want to specifically run it in Edge browser or Chrome, whatever you prefer.
Hey, Douglas, good to see you.
Okay,
Um, yeah, sorry, Alistair. Go ahead. I was just gonna tell Douglas we got he knows the drill. Douglas knows what's up. We got the we got the stream at the in the top of the jumbotron, Douglas. So hop up on stage and talk with us and see what we're building. Sorry, Alistair.
yeah, Sharon. So you can run this command: flutter run -d Chrome, and that will launch it for Chrome. Here, I will DM you this command.
Oh, I can write it down. Don't worry. Flutter dash, what did you say? Oh, I see it. Flutter dash D dash, no, not dash, Chrome. Okay. Okay, cool.
Flutter space run space -d space Chrome. I'll DM it to you, and
Okay.
you can do that with Chrome, Edge. I'm not sure what the other browser is that they use, and you could also do it for Android. So if you want to run it for Android, you would do Flutter run Android.
Okay. Thank you.
I'll throw it here in our chat. And that should bypass it trying to build it for Android and whatnot. Because whenever you see APK, that's kind of your indicator that it's Android. So let's see. I have my personality, my persona. Where was I? Personas. There you go. So I have my persona. It's long, so that's good. And of course, we can read through it, and then we can add things to it. You can add specific things like what the user will put versus what the therapist should respond. And maybe you want to add some quirks because we are going to eventually have 11 labs. You want to have those human-like quirks and human-like transitions, like the ums and the hums and the intonations. So some things to consider. But for now, we're just chatting with it. So I'm going to take my prompt, and all the chatting and all the chat-related stuff happens on this page in our project. So it's in chatscreen.dart. Here's where we had our model. Here's where we know what endpoint it uses. And here's also the system prompt. So it has this long system prompt that we're going to replace.
Can I
So,
ask you something, Alisher? This is also where all the code is. So if anything that we want to change that is, regarding this, also the logo and stuff, we can find that all here, correct?
so you can find that all inside of the lib folder. Lib is everything that you will end up coding and building. And
Okay.
we have our main screen, which is where we have the logo and everything. And then we have the chat screen, which is the next screen that it takes us to. Right? Typically, you want to break things down by like elements and screens. So you could call, if you want to have an element inside of this instead of a screen, you could call it like a chat window. I think next week we're gonna edit like the main screen and have a few things. Have where you can text a therapist, where you can talk to a therapist, like with actual speech, and then maybe we can even do something like, upload a picture of your face, and the therapist will respond.
Oh,
We'll play around with different options.
just want to welcome Treasure to the room too. Treasure, good to see you. We got a live stream up in the top in the jumbotron. We're building a therapist app with AI and Flutter. So feel free to join us and pop up, ask any questions. We're here. Good to see you.
And yeah, on this chat screen.dart file, the system prompt right now, it's from line 18 to line 55. So you want to replace that with your system prompt.
We just got done building a personality and AI tutor for the therapist, and now Alisher's throwing it in Visual Studio Code.
It actually doesn't look so different. Let's see.
It's running now, Alisher. I just wanted to tell you that. I'm so happy
Good.
it's working. It's working. I did a personality too. I did it a little bit different, but I did one too. Yeah, you can use whatever you want. So maybe you want your people to talk to Einstein, huh? Maybe you want them to
Ideally,
talk
hope
to,
so.
yeah, maybe you want them to talk to a great mathematician. I don't know, some philosopher, some
Pretty cool.
crazy storyteller. That's really cool. I mean, I also have, I mean, I don't know how good, I mean, you can at least take the personality, right? And then the I mean, because you would have to fine tune if you want to give it all the data, like books, maybe you want, if you wanted to really, give all that information that personality was talking. But at least, you could maybe go online if you're not sure what personality to use. Just go online and how was Einstein or how was Tesla or whoever you like, right? What kind of personality was he? You can also ask your LLM and then try to create a personality based off of that. That's probably super fun. What you can also do is mix personalities. Let's say you want an Einstein versus, I don't even know, whoever.
Elon.
No, Einstein and a He-Man or something, maybe a cool comic figure or so. Make it really funny, and you can do really freaky personalities. That would be a cool idea.
Absolutely, that's a good idea. I didn't even thought of that, but I'll tell you,
Something crazy, right? Something really crazy, or I don't know, mix. Yeah, you can do all kinds of, or maybe mix a whatever, a professor with a cat. I don't know, something like that.
Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Well, you guys can even take a look at some of these more open source models on OpenRouter and see if you can get them to be raunchy, have a raunchy personality.
Now you're
Exactly, because listen, people,
Or
when
even type of
yes,
comic personality. Maybe
right,
you're making a tab that gives you a joke every day in like a voice of
exactly,
a comedian.
I see
yeah.
Rosemary's got her hand up. Sorry,
Go
Chef.
ahead, Rosemary. Yeah, go ahead.
Hey, I have a question. So, where is like the step number officially number one? Because I don't know exactly where y'all are beginning at. So I was just trying.
So what you would do first, you would definitely get the project. So you would go on GitHub, right? And then you would click on code, which is on the right side, that green button. Correct me if I'm wrong, Alisher. And then you could get the zip file. You would download that. That would be your first step.
Yeah, the GitHub,
So,
Alisher's GitHub is located at the top. So Rosemary, if you see the github.com slash the A Fahardy one, is that the I did post two. I posted Alisher's main one, and then I did the
I
mindful
think,
one. So
And we got to set up your Flutter environment too.
yeah, so I would say get the project, set up your Flutter environment. Um, what might happen is if you're watching the live stream, you could also follow along with the live stream. I'll show you. If you have Visual Studio Code, it has an extension for Flutter. So in extensions here on the side menu, you can look for Flutter.
that's how I did it last time. I'm like, I don't remember going to the website. I couldn't remember.
This is, I think, for people who are on Mac, this is the cleaner way. For people who are on Windows,
Yeah.
it's kind of cleaner. But this is
Alisher,
good. All you need is Get.
so basically, can I ask you something? Now, if I were to share this little link, can I change the link? No, I can't, right? It just has to be localhost. Doesn't matter. Don't even worry. Don't even answer this dumb question. But if I wanted to share this with somebody, I don't have to have my Visual Studio Code open or anything, right? It doesn't matter. It's just on the browser then. Do I have to have anything open while do I have to have Flutter running is basically what I'm asking.
Like if you were to want me to try it. Is that what
Yeah.
you mean? Like and you would just send me the link instead of just and instead of having your Visual Studio Code open. Is that what you mean? Sure.
Well, yeah, do I have to have Flutter running, right? That's basically what I'm
I
asking.
guess you're. I guess you're.
Oh, Alisher is leaving the space. He
Oh.
is, he's getting lost. Because this is actually cool. I mean, you can play around and just have people play around with your persona. I mean, this is a super easy way to do it. And have people test your stuff, for example.
The short answer is no. You actually have to deploy that to somewhere.
Oh, I thought so.
It has to
Man,
be
darn it.
deployed on a service for it to be shared.
But I could then just go ahead and deploy it with Vercel because Vercel is for free. Is that possible?
Flutter, it's more for apps. You shouldn't really build like a website on Flutter. It does let you.
Yeah, it sounds about right. I think either that's me.
We could try to build for web, and it'll probably work. But I think you can share this link because it's a
Okay.
local. What you could do is once we get to building, right? Because our goal is to have like an actual app. Once you build the app, so for example, if I'm here, I have my Android set up, and I want to do like build for Android. I would do Flutter build Android. Um, did not type something right. Let's see. I have directions for this in the GitHub. Flutter build APK. There you go. So if you do Flutter build APK, it will build you an APK file that you can share for people that are on Android. And by the way, my Twitter totally crashed. Can you guys hear me? Can I hear you guys?
I can hear you. Cher,
I
can you
can
hear
hear
me?
you. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to
Okay.
derail anything. Yeah, Alicia, we can probably talk about that later. Let's maybe get Rose. I'm sorry, I just don't want to disrupt everything just because
For
I have
you,
some ideas.
you have Android Studio already, so you can probably do this. You can probably try Flutter build APK.
Yeah, but the question is then, will someone, if, Flutter build, we had the problem with these darn models not really working properly on the phone, remember?
Yeah, but luckily this is an API call, so all the
Oh,
compute is
yes.
handled by OpenRouter.
Oh, okay. I can try that. Yeah, okay, cool.
And another thing
Because
you can
this,
do is
yeah.
if you don't want to use OpenRouter and you want the sheer speed, like you want something fast, go to Grok with a Q, and it's going to be so lightning fast, and it will be on mobile.
That's cool because then you can just test your personalities and have people play with it. I mean, I think that's super fun. You can build out a cool system prompt and just have people test it.
Oh, I agree. It's a lot of fun. Hell yeah. It didn't sound too enthusiastic, but I swear that was it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, I mean it's just fun because look, the thing is that when you are prompting all these regular, they all have guardrails. So you cannot talk in a certain way. They're going to tell you straight up, I'm not allowed. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So it's an alternative for people to then really have, especially these free models, you can then just a little treat for people to play around if they want to.
When I get to the GitHub, it's like multiple repositories. Which one do I need to be focused on clicking on? What is it
It's
titled?
that's called Mindful.
Mindful. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, and the other repos are from the previous week, so they
Yeah,
all have.
I remember the other ones. I was like, hold on, which one am I supposed to be clicking on? Okay.
Yeah, I was just making sure before that I put the right mind that because I put up his main one and then I put up the mindful one, but I wanted to make sure that It was definitely mindful. Also, just wanted to welcome Gabriel to the room as well too. Gabriel, we got a stream up at the top. If you want to see what we're building, we're building right now a therapist app with AI and Flutter. So feel free to come up, ask any questions, hang out with us. We can get you up to speed if you want to participate, or you could just hang out. We're here.
And what I was going to say before my Twitter completely crashed, realistically, when you're building a prompt, you want to spend, a few days building that prompt, testing out different inputs, seeing what it gives you back, and really specifying what you want as an output. What I did is just, I went and I generated like a base for myself. So what the persona builder is good for is if you don't know where to start and you want to generate like a really good base for yourself, there's a great base for it to create, this character. But then you want to specify what things you want to get out of the output. So if you want certain things like, oh, well, don't actually immediately answer. Like your second answer shouldn't be this long answer. Instead, it should be something like, tell me more, right? So those are the things you want to start specifying. I think like even when it comes to prompting, we have a prompt in Pixio and Soundcraft, and we've been working with Kirk, and we've been trying to change the prompt to I guess give you lyrics that will work with a model better, the audio generation model a little bit better, and make it a little bit more, I guess a little bit more control in terms of lyrics, because there's certain quirks to prompting in that situation. Like it needs to use certain tags, it needs to be in a certain style. Not every set of lyrics is the same. But in this case, same thing. You want to even give it some sort of maybe examples of what a question and the reply should look like. And that's almost like fine tuning, except you're doing it on the prompt side.
Which is sometimes better because that's what I'm studying right now.
It's cheaper. It's certainly cheaper, and I think
it's certainly cheaper. Yeah.
I think in the last few months it's gotten to the point where these prompts and like the predictive algorithms are so good that it's like, this could be a real person that it's creating, and it could be responding as a real person. I think I mentioned last week, like we had somebody who wanted to create a prompt for a children's book writer, and when she went to the persona creator, the prompt was like so accurate to the type of person that she is, that she was like, wow, this is, it's really impressive, to the point where it's like able to predictively, I guess the type of personality that she has.
That's so cool. I mean, the possibilities are endless, right? You can do all kinds of stuff. If you also want to teach someone something, right? You can build a system prompt based on that, because you're talking to these general foundational base models, right? So they have a lot of information in them, and you can make use of this information by prompting, right? Your system prompt can just guide the LLM in the right direction. So you don't always need to fine tune, because if your LLM has the information and it answers well with that information, you might not even need to fine tune, if that makes sense. Does that make sense, Alisher?
That's true, and I think another thing to consider is, for example, right now, we have this one function here. This is a therapy chatbot. But what if instead you had something like get therapy, get math help, and you can have prompts for each of those, and it's much easier for you to create a prompt than spend the time and the money fine tuning a model. Right, so you can have like 50 different personalities in here, just like AI Tutor, where we have all of those personalities and all those system prompts. You can do the same thing here, and what you don't need to do is fine tune a model 50 different times on 50 different data sets.
Yeah, because these LLMs have a lot of information. They hold a lot. If you go into an LLM and you ask for a rundown for a certain book, you'll most likely get it if it is a book that is, I don't know, a common book. you'll most likely get that information. So if you guide the LLM with a very good system prompt, that's why Alisher is saying spend time with your system prompt. Don't just write a 10-line thing and be like, okay, I'm done. This prompt that you're building could take you a week to get it perfect, because you're going to keep testing. Then you're going to try to just ask it targeted questions. Prompting, this is prompt engineering, people. This is very, very important, right? This is the creative act that is needed from the human side to get the LLM to do what you want to do. And fine tuning is just very expensive and is very time consuming also, right? It's expensive and it's time consuming. You have to get these data sets in a certain way. We were talking about it in the last spaces. It's not that easy. And then your response can be completely fracked up because you didn't fine tune properly. So there are a lot of issues that can happen along the way. So for us that are not sitting in a science lab, that don't have access to millions of GPUs, we need to learn to prompt engineer. That's very, very important. So this is great practice for you. Even if you think, I'm not going to do anything like that, this is so boring, but it's going to teach you to prompt well. This is how you learn to interact with an LLM and get a little bit better in, in learning how to work with these tools or these machines or whatever you want to call them. Maybe you have a name for it, right? Whatever. You really get deeper into working with these machines, and that you learn a lot during that process. We have Gabriel down there. He left a comment, still learning, Nubian Tech. I mean, I sent you a request to speak, so you can come up anytime and ask your questions. We are getting Rosemary set up, so if you want to do this, you can come up. Feel free. You just need a computer or a desk or a laptop. Your phone won't work. I'll say that right away. Phone is not gonna happen. So if you want to, I just don't want to put you on the spot, but anytime. We are going to do a recap. We're going to be writing something down. I'm going to try to do this right after the space, that you have something and then you can just watch the space and the space. Yeah, listen to the space on recording, not on recording, on replay. There we go. So back to you, Alisher. Do we want to get Rosemary set up? Because she has to set up her Flutter environment or whatever you want to call it.
Gotta
Sorry,
say,
I'm sorry. Yeah,
gotta
Absolutely.
say hi to Dave too. Dave, you know the drill. Get your butt
Dave
up
is
here
a
and say
pro
hi.
in here. Dave is a pro in here. He can help us.
Right?
Well, at least you and me, Morgan, not Alisher,
Yeah.
but us tips. I sent him an invite. If he has time, he can come up. And whoever else, Matthew, I mean, you guys down there, don't be shy. You know, we have a couple of spots on this. If you just want to talk, I don't want to say a cuss word, but if you just want to talk with us, fun talk, you can come up too. Okay, Alisher, back to you.
Okay, so Rosemary, how far along into setting up did you get?
I installed the Flutter extension on the Visual Code, and that's about where I'm at with it.
Okay, that's awesome. So check this out. Once you install Flutter in Visual Code,
Mhm.
what you can do is you can open the project from the GitHub repo,
Mhm.
and you can start running Flutter commands. So in terminal, inside of that project, you can run something like Flutter pub get and Flutter run afterwards.
Okay, hold on one second.
And I think there is one thing though. So I was doing research earlier, and this is for you, Sharon, because if you do want to publish an app, you will eventually need to build for Mac, right? I mean, for iOS. And there are services that will actually let you build. Like you can upload your Flutter files, and I think they will connect to publishing for Mac, and they will let you build without having a Mac. So let's see. Let's check out Google real quick. Um, so
Interesting. I mean, I can research that. I mean, I'm not thinking about building that now or anything, but we can maybe speak about that later in the other spaces when we start to focus on that. Um, if you want, up to you.
I remember there being some sort of a service where you could just upload your files and build it and not need a Mac.
Yeah, we were
Uh,
talking. I think we were talking about that a couple weeks back. I remember this darn Chihuahua. I'm about to kick him out. I
You're
swear to
okay.
God,
You're
I'm
okay.
about
It's
to
it's
throw
not
this
bad at
dog
all.
out. I swear to God, this dog is getting on my case right now. He's barking at me more. It's just awful.
He wants your attention.
Oh, he's staring out of the window. He's barking
Oh.
at every little fly that passes by, every bird, every squirrel, everything. Every 2 minutes, he's freaking out.
I think feel like we've barely heard him, so you're good at least on this end.
He's still staring out there, waiting at what he can bark at. It's just awful. This little yapping thing. I love him, but I'm about to throw him out, kick him out. I'm Rosemary. Where are you now? Do you need any help?
So once I have, like, how do I bring up the project in Visual Studio Code?
So did you set up the Flutter environment yet?
No, how do I do that?
So that would be your next step. So what you're going to do, you are going,
if she installed it from the extensions, you typically don't need to do that. They
okay.
automatically do it.
So shall we just try the Flutter Doctor thing?
You
Flutter
could try,
Clean
yeah. Yeah, we could
Doctor?
try the Twitter doctor thing. So you can just go to terminal. Doesn't need to be in your project for now, just regular terminal. And you can try typing Flutter space doctor in your terminal. Terminal, command line, PowerShell.
You did pull up, you did open you have the Mindful project in Visual Studio Code. Is that correct? Is that where you are, Rosemary?
No, that's what I'm trying to
Okay,
do.
so did you download the zip file?
No. Okay.
So that's what
That's
you
what I
have to
need to do.
do. That's what you're going to, so you're still on GitHub, you download the zip file
Okay.
and then put it somewhere. You would maybe want to create a folder somewhere on your desktop or so, call it whatever you want.
And just watch out the zip file when you get it from GitHub. There's going to be two folders. So you want to get the folder that's inside the folder.
Okay, so what's the name of the zip file? Because I'm trying to look for the exact zip.
It's
It's called,
probably mindful dash main.
Mindful dash main. Okay, I'm scrolling, looking.
go in your download folder, you'll probably find it there. Or are you still on GitHub? Or did you already
I'm
download?
I'm still on GitHub.
Okay, so let me go on GitHub. I'll guide you. Or I don't know if Alisher has the screen. Go on GitHub, maybe Alisher, and then
I am
maybe.
on GitHub,
Okay,
and what
so
you
have a
have
look,
here,
Rosemary.
you have the code button, and then you want to download zip.
Got it. Thank you.
And then when you extract that, you're going to get a folder, and inside of it is going to be another folder. And that's the
Okay.
folder. You want the folder that has a bunch of stuff in it.
All
And then
right.
that's what you want to open in Visual Studio Code. And the way you do it in Visual Studio Code is, well, you can have Visual Studio Code and you just drag the folder in there and it'll open it for you.
Okay.
It'll open the whole folder.
All right. It's downloading. It's almost done. And then I get ready to extract.
Okay, so for me, in the meantime, I'm actually going to change the logo. I have a little basic logo. I use Canva, guys. Made this earlier. Just going to get the PNG. I'll show you how to change the logo as well while we're still in the setting up stage. Okay, now I think our logo is on our main screen, and it's inside of this images logo. So what I usually do in Visual Studio Code is I actually look for it. I type it in as logo. There it is, images logo. I just have to replace this. So this is like the easy way, is replacing what's already there. So I'm going to put an image in here, and I'm going to call it logo.png, and it will seamlessly replace it for me. So let's try that. Rename logo.
Cool. That seems simple enough.
Well, I mean, basically, you can just, yeah, go through these folders here. But yeah, it's super, super, super easy, basically. So
Well, the easiest thing is you can just look. So there's a search on top, and you can look for logo, and
yeah.
it'll tell you exactly where it is. It'll take you to that folder, and then all you got to do is replace that logo with whatever logo you want, and just make sure it's called logo.png.
And how did you do it again? You just pull it in, right? You just pull it into that folder, correct?
Yep, you can just drag it right into where the old logo was.
Do you have to delete the old logo?
I was just gonna ask.
You can
Yeah.
delete or you can rename it. As long as it doesn't have the same name, it's not going to be used.
Oh, what do you mean? So you can keep the two in there then?
You can just rename the old logo to something else.
Oh, so you're saying but the main logo has to be just logo.png. Like you can't, like the
Yeah,
logo one isn't gonna. Okay, that's why
yeah,
you switched it around.
because that's the one. That's the one it's using on the front page.
Gotcha. No, is the second one being used at all anywhere, or it's kind of just hanging
No,
there?
no, it's just in there.
Okay.
We we have to learn the coding language, Morgan.
Right. I
We
know.
have to function now in a coding. We're not a user anymore. We are a builder. And that's how we have to think now. It's freaky, right? But I'm like, how the hell do I do this now? And then, yeah, just
Yeah.
change, Sharon, change the darn code. That is so funny. Yeah.
I
Okay, so
have to remember how to use the tools, and that's it. You don't really need to know coding. But what's up, Rosemary?
yeah, so it's done installing, and I see the file with the 15 items. What do I need to do to drag it into Visual Code? Because I still have the environment set up from the last Next.js payments situation.
Yeah, that's okay. You can just drag it in, and it will take over. So you can drag the whole folder.
Okay.
So if you go inside of mindful main, you'll have another mindful main folder in there, right? And then you
Mm-hmm.
just drag that in, and it'll take over for you.
Okay. I just did it.
And then you should get the same folders that we have, and you should be able to open your terminal and run Flutter Doctor.
Okay. So, what do I click on to run that? Just terminal?
Yeah.
Okay. It's still saying Next.js subscription payment.
Okay, so you might need to close and reopen your terminal, or you might need to go to File at the top, go to Open Folder, and then open the folder for Mindful that way.
Okay.
How's everyone doing so far? Kirk, what is up with you? You're so quiet. You're building.
He's building.
I'm just going through
Sun and making
pulling all the
music.
pieces that I don't have out of the Git and getting it all set up and going through the instructions.
Okay. If you need help, let us know, but you probably don't.
It's the quiet ones that are always the troublemakers, right? Is that how it goes?
Well, he has his assistant by his side.
That's true.
His son will be able to help him.
That's true. That's true.
Okay, so it's saying downloading the Flutter SDK. I just closed out and reopened it, and I clicked on the file, the main mindful main file, and now it's saying downloading the Flutter SDK.
Okay, that's fine. That's good. It initiated that process of actually downloading the full SDK. That's good.
Okay, good.
Now, guys, one thing you will notice here in the main that Dart file where we have our logo is there's also size. So there's width and height. So this is pretty much how Flutter works. It has these components, it has the scaffolding, the columns, and then from there, you start to add different things like buttons, images, and then you're able to determine their size, their position.
But can I ask you something? The image size, I mean, it's not a vector file, so won't it blur it?
You just have a high resolution image.
Oh, so I don't, okay. So I can just change width and height of the image now.
You could, yeah. So for example, for me, this image right here, I think it's a 2x1. So I just changed it to something that's a 2x1.
And it won't blur it? Okay, cool.
Well, it depends on what size your image is, right? My image is like
Your images, yeah.
1,000 by 500, so it's decent.
Okay.
But yeah, it'll look good enough.
If I were, so I won't be able to do a vector file, right? I mean, it doesn't matter. All those things I can definitely just ask AI if I want to change any special things.
You could absolutely do a vector file, I think. I mean,
Okay.
most of these apps have vector files, right?
Yeah.
I'm just simple. Give me a PNG. It's a phone screen. It's not gonna get any bigger.
Yeah, you're right. It's a phone screen. You're right. Rutro, I don't, oh, Pablo, come on, dude. I think he's on his period or something. I don't know. I don't know if, Rutro, are you building or are you just listening in? Because I think you were asking me last week, you wanted to follow along. You can always come up and speak if you want.
Yeah, right. We know, we love you. If I can talk straight, I know.
She's throwing a thumbs up. I am going to write down a quick recap of what we did today. I'm going to do this after. You guys hear him? This dude is just, he's in his period, I tell you. This dude is in his period.
Men.
Or he has midlife crisis. He's
Yeah, so I'm not building along, but I think I can follow. Thanks for going through that again. That made it a lot clearer from last weekend. So, yeah. Unfortunately, I'm not in a place with my computer, so I'm following along and I'm taking notes. So,
There is gonna be a full recording with audio because I do have audio
oh,
streaming to Twitch.
aha,
So,
perfect.
and I am gonna make sure to rip down this recording from Twitch as well.
Okay.
well, I'm going to write down a recap, Alisher, so I'll take care of that. You don't have to waste your time with that. If you
It'll
want.
take like a minute. Twitch is gonna store this somewhere for 7 days. I'll figure that out. I'll download it, and then at least we'll have like recordings somewhere that have video. And
Yeah, that's cool.
yeah,
And
and the recap is always great, especially for people who are new coming in next week and don't have the time to watch this, 2-3 hour video.
And one quick question. So I'm definitely on a Mac, and so I just did Mac OS, and I just said build for it kept saying recommended the iPhone, but I just picked the web. Is that okay, or should I have just done
It's
the
perfectly fine.
either one?
Either one is fine because at the end of the day, we're gonna go through Android, we're gonna
Perfect.
go through iOS as well. But for web is good because it's fast.
Okay,
You can see
perfect.
it immediately.
Yeah, I think I remembered that. I read that from last Friday. So cool. Yeah, so I think that's pretty straightforward. And yeah, and I had already downloaded the V code that I needed on my computer last Friday. So yeah.
So it keeps saying failed clone flutter using Git. So
Oh,
is
did you
there no
download, did you do Git? Did you, oh, I think we forgot that. Or Alisher, did we forget that?
We probably did. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give you a link right now. Let me find my GitHub. Are you on Mac or are you on Windows?
Mac? I'm
So
on
if
Mac.
you're on Mac, go to the App Store and look for Xcode. It's gonna look
Okay.
something like this. It's gonna have this little hammer and a little blueprint behind it. It's on the App Store. It will automatically download a few things for you that you'll need, and you won't have to, go through this step again when it's time to build for iOS. Yeah, it looks like Xcode you need. It's like a must get if you're doing anything on if you're doing anything on Mac with development.
Okay, I'm working on it right now. Thank you.
Yeah, and then what you can do is what I suggest is you close Visual Studio Code after Xcode is done, reopen the project again, and try again, and it should work for you. What's up, Ro?
That was right up my alley because that's where I sort of got lost last weekend. So this sort of cleared it up. So yeah.
Yeah, I went back when I was setting up like all the directions, and I reread, and it looks like you need Xcode to have get on Mac.
Yeah, exactly. That's where I was stumbling last time. I was like, what in the heck? Yeah. Okay, thank you.
But it's cool. Xcode, in terms of like Android versus iOS, Xcode is definitely the better one, even though they charge a premium for you to have apps there.
When you go to the GitHub, when you click on that, on the link that we have at the top, there is a little explanation. There's a little step-by-step guide also that you can always check in with. And I'm definitely going to do a recap of what we did today. I'm going to write that down.
Hey, Dave.
Hello, you beautiful people.
Just as beautiful as you are, Dave.
Oh,
How are you
stop your
tonight?
tease. I'm very
Thanks for
well.
coming on.
I'm very well. I'm not following along whatsoever because I'm doing lots of coding in the background and boring, mundane accessibility and lots of fun stuff.
Well, we appreciate your honesty, bun, you know. I'm not watching a damn thing you're doing, but but you're here in spirit with us and listening and hanging out. That's all that matters to us.
Yeah,
Exactly. I'm
yeah,
I'm coding too.
that's good. That's good. Yeah, basically, yeah, we're just playing around with Flutter. Flutter is a tool that you can use to, build basically an app for any screen, right? iPad, iPhone, Android, or also browser for the web. And what we actually did, we just grabbed an LLM and yeah, and brought it into. We built a little app. We did that last week. We did a little recap. But Alisher actually has the whole code on GitHub, and we basically just downloaded that and went through it again. So where we're now is we have an LLM that we added to it from OpenRouter. We used an API key and now we're just playing around with it. We're playing around with design now. Alisher changed the logo. And yeah, and we're chatting with Dr. Rachel Kim. And Alisher also generated a to make the chat bot talk a certain way. So that's basically what we did up to now.
We're making you a therapist, Dave. Don't worry.
Imagine, I mean, you know, it would also be cool, but that would be a little bit harder to do. And sometime in the future, I don't know, you could have your chatbot give you the whole rundown. You could, you know, if you would do a recording, right? Let's just say this. You would do a recording of the space, or I mean, the space is recorded. I could pull it down, and then you would have the chatbot tell you what we did in the space. That would be cool, huh?
Oh yeah, yeah. So my friend Dave, he does the Sunday Reset. He talks about crypto and AI. He has his AI
Your
chatbot.
friend Dave.
Well, you're my number one, Dave. You know that. You're my number one,
Yeah,
Dave. This is
we
number
need.
two. This is
He
number
needs a
two,
better
Dave.
naming convention than my friend Dave.
Well, this is number two, Dave. So you're my number one. You know that. But number two, Dave, he has his AI chatbot recap the space at the end, and she goes over all the, all the topics that they went over, and mentions a couple people, even listeners. It's pretty cool. It's
No,
interesting.
yeah, he comes to the web space. He's, you know, he used to be with the Wolf team. I know
Yeah,
Dave.
there's
He's
something
so
about him I
funny.
don't like, though. There's something about him.
He's
He's
Never
got the
met the
Eric
guy,
Muir
but
accent. Dave.
yeah, that's it. It's all over then.
I don't know. He's so funny.
Why why
I don't
Flutter?
ask him to read me bedtime stories, so just saying.
Well, look,
Only you.
maybe that's what I'm going to build, but why Flutter specifically?
It's an easy, well, we just chose it because it's easy and we, you know, because you can use it for all screens, right? You can build an Android app, an iOS app, you know, tablet. It's basically for all screens. Alisher, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I was also going to say they have a lot of packages we can use, and you know, the AI knows a lot about Flutter seemingly. When I was building something else earlier, and also another thing is a lot of these like AI apps from Google I noticed are also built in Flutter, like the new Gemini app that they have. That's built in Flutter, so I'm guessing that they're, you know, expanding Flutter a little bit. But there are, I know there are other frameworks like Expo that also do, you know, multi-platform building.
Oh no,
But
look, it makes sense. I was just wondering. It sounds to me like if you're doing a web app, use like Next.js and pick something like Vercel and grab some templates. If you're building an actual native app, Flutter seems to be something you grab and then it will take care of the heavy lifting for those code bases.
yeah, we're gonna go through that process too for like Android and iOS of trying to publish, and that's probably we're gonna spend most of our development time is trying to publish these apps.
Yeah, we were also
Yeah,
trying
you
to
mean Apple
find,
rejected me? Apple rejected me. Yeah.
you know, we were trying to look for an environment that we could basically use with smaller models. And we assume, right, since we already did the Vercel thing, and so we assume that we're going to get models at some point that are super small that people can then run on their phones. You know what I mean? So that's why we kind of started with Flutter, I guess, at the beginning. But
Yeah, I think it's a great idea.
yeah,
Purpose-driven, smaller apps. Yeah.
exactly. And we figured as we started to play around with these smaller models that they're actually crap. Well, we were using the open source ones, right? We were working with Small, then we were working with Gwen, but they're all kind of crappy. So so this environment that we're setting up now could easily be integrated when we finally get a mini model, so to say. I would say, Alicia, does that make sense? I always have to back check with the master of disasters.
Yeah, I agree, and also I think Gemini themselves they have Gemini Nano. So some of these Pixel phones, I think Pixel 8 and 8A and the coming up Pixel 9, they actually have a local model, the Gemini Nano model, that some of these native frameworks can actually interact with. But yeah, we tried building an app with like a local LLM model, like a light model, and it just I mean they were atrocious. They couldn't even get a sentence
Yeah,
out.
I can
That's so sad.
imagine. I can imagine. I'm assuming the happy medium is the open router takes care of the heavy lifting for you.
Yeah, OpenRouter is great, and they have some free models, so we can test for free, and then whenever we feel like we want to use the fancy models that we gotta pay for, we can always switch.
Yeah, look, fancy models, like I done a local app as well and I put OpenRaider in and fancy models, it's still like really, really small costs.
Yeah, and the new GPT 4o Mini is dirt cheap, and I think one of these weeks we're probably gonna play around with fine tuning it before their free trial runs out, because they have I think for people who spend like $4,000 a month with them, they let you fine tune GPT 4o Mini for free. So we'll try to fine tune that in the next few weeks as well.
You think we're gonna make it happen? Well, I don't pay $4,000. Who are we gonna use for that? Whose API can we use?
Well, talking to Cost actually suggested that I try to fine tune the model on the TSI count, because we
Okay.
are actually in that tier.
Yeah, because I have $6.35 on OpenAI. I don't think I'm gonna get far with that. I need to spend at least $3,994 in order to get to that point.
No, for you
I think I'm
actually,
at 3.
for $6, when I was doing the math, you can fine tune about, I think, 1 million tokens
Wow, that's a lot.
of 3.5.
Wow. Well, that's a lot.
Yeah, so you
Um,
can you can take your $6 and try to fine tune a 3.5 model. It's doable. When I
Well,
did the
I don't need more because if you're fine tuning, you just need the language, right? So if you're making some kind of, some kind of whatever storyteller or something or some crazy talker, you don't really need that much. So that's cool. You basically just need the language capabilities, which all models have.
Yeah, well, anything under 100K, you don't even need to fine tune. You can just make a really good prompt.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
over 100K, you should probably fine tune. So platform.openai.com. I want to log into my account and see how much money I spent last time.
I want to say hi to Tia. Welcome
I
to the
didn't.
space.
Yeah. Hey, Tia.
So I couldn't.
Welcome to the playground. Go ahead, Dave. Or who was talking? I don't even know who was talking.
I think it was Dave.
Yeah, why would you assume it was Dave? Maybe it was like the other better my friend Dave was
You know,
coming in to speak.
coding gets you really frisky, doesn't it, Dave?
I'm I'm so drained from all of the coding I was doing today.
Oh,
My eyes are like square.
I bet. Shall I take over any of your duties? Can I help you in any way, Dave?
Oh, I wish. I wish.
He's like, you dumb jerk. I don't want you to do any coding for me. You don't know what you're doing. No.
It's in the weeds coding. It's really in the weeds. It's yeah, like I work with kind of
That's what you're doing.
government funded kind of organizations and they have really high accessibility requirements, which is good, but the people that like action the website and the person that built the original website totally disregarded accessibility. So I'm kind of going in piece by piece and rebuilding their website to be actually usable and actually accessible as well for people. But it's kind of going in and saying, that's really bad. That's really bad. That's really bad. But that's not my fault. That's not my fault. But how do I rip it out? And how do I put something else in? So they come to me and there's like 190 errors on accessibility. And I'm like, okay, but you do
Oh
know that
man.
like most of them are because you have 80 plugins running your WordPress website, and you should really have like 25 plugins. They've like 3 plugins for Instagram and 2 plugins for YouTube, and I'm like, where are you using them? Not really sure. And they've like 900 pages on their website, so yeah, a lot of sifting through stuff and re-engineering. Eventually, in a few months, it will be an all singing, dancing website.
So you're saying we need to build you an AI to scrape that whole website to find all the errors so that you can don't have to go through every single page yourself?
Yes, in a sense, but it would have to be fine-tuned on how I build and what I build, and it would have to look at my code base and understand my code base and not what AI assumes is good coding. So I'm coding with AI like right now, and I copy and paste something and I say, let's let's build this new section, and AI builds it, and I say, no, that's not how we build. That's going to conflict with other stuff, and this is how we build. And you have to kind of layer upon layer. You get it built, and then you have to employ best practices like security and different stuff, and then you put the next layer on it, which is accessibility, and then you have to put the next layer on it, which is performance. So you kind of have to go through that kind of step by step. And like if I told AI to do all of those steps, it would produce a lot of garbage. But already knowing how to code line by line, it makes me a lot sharper when I'm looking at what AI outputs, and I can quickly correct it without having to write an extra, 200 lines of code.
Well, that's good. It sounds like you're at least a little thankful for the AI help, but so we just need the
Thankful,
perfect.
I have like Copilot running one piece of it. I have Claude in AI Tutor running another piece of it. Like I have them sanity checking each other, and I sanity check them. It's made it so much better for the stuff that I do because I know how to do it. But just getting it that sharper, like honestly, there's stuff that it's nearly just admin boring stuff